You know, this is always a little overwhelming to speak to a big group and that. I hope you don't mind if I take off my jacket, because it's getting hot in here already. But it's fun to come and have a chance to speak with students. 2 or 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to be the president of a national contractors association called the Beavers, the Dam Builders, in Station, California, and has contractors from all over the country. And on the East Coast, they have a group called the Moles, which are the tunnelers, you know, because they do a lot of tunneling on the East Coast with subways and things like that. Anyhow, every January, about this time of year, we just did it a couple of weeks ago, we have a big awards dinner in Los Angeles. And there's 2,000 people that come to this dinner. And they're all in tuxedos and evening gowns. And so the year that I was the president, I had the opportunity to pick who the speaker would be. And so I requested Steve Forbes. Now, most of you know who Steve Forbes is. He's the publisher of Forbes magazine, you know, one of the top business magazines in the country, in the world as far as that goes. And so Steve Forbes came, and we were sitting at the head table, and you know, I was the MC of the evening, and they had a little book for me that had every word of what I was supposed to say. And as I'm looking through this book, you know, I'm supposed to introduce Steve Forbes. Well, he's sitting right next to me at dinner with the podium on the right, and I'm trying to figure out, and I look through, and I have no resume on Steve Forbes. And so before the speaker, they give out some awards to some of the people in the industry. And so I'm helping give these awards out, and the executive director of our organization is handing me these awards that we present to these people as they come out. And as he's handing me the awards, I'm like, I don't have a resume on Steve Jobs. And he's like, well, I sent you one. And I'm like, well, I thought, you know, this is like, each sentence is like this award, and then the next award is the next sentence. And finally I said to him, I said, well, I thought it'd be in the book. And he says, well, you'll have to figure something out. And so I'm sitting there, and while they're doing some acceptance speeches and that, and so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to say about Steve Forbes? So I pull out my iPhone, of course, and I Google Steve Forbes. And so I'm sitting right next to him, and I've got my iPhone like this, and I'm trying to jot down just a couple of things about him without him noticing it. And so I got a couple of things in that. So when I stood up, I said, well, everybody knows Steve Jobs, so he doesn't really need an introduction. But he, as you all know, he's the publisher of Forbes magazine, and I gave 2 or 3 little facts. And I said, and so we'll turn it over to Steve Forbes. Well, after the dinner, you know, some of my family were there, and I said, well, did you notice how I had to kind of act? They said, you pulled it off great. We didn't even know. So, you know, sometimes you get a little intimidating when you get in front of a group. So I just had a birthday on Saturday. My family was over on Sunday and celebrated it and that. And so I got a $20 bill here, and you got to raise your hand, I'll have to call on you, to whoever can tell me how old I am. Okay, how old am I?
54.
54. I got to give you the $20 bill. Yes?
66.
You're getting closer. Yes, in the back row.
72.
What?
72.
72, wow. I wouldn't have given you it even at Yes.
68.
Getting a little further out, yes?
67.
A little, you're getting closer.
I was
Yeah.
63.
You're getting up, yeah?
You want me to tell you I'm on Google right
Yeah, there you go. What are you on the back row, the middle one?
66. 64.
Somebody already said 66.
65.
Who said 65? Who? Okay, pass it back to him. 65. So at 65, you're supposed to retire, right? Well, when I was let's see, I think I was 36 years old. My dad retired at age 70 on his 70th birthday, and we buried him on his 71st birthday. And I said to myself, wow, I'm not going to do that. So when I turn 60, I'm retiring. I'm getting out. There's plenty of things to do after your career. Well, when I turned 50, I said, wow, that's only 10 years. Well, maybe I'll go to 62 and then I'll see how it goes. Well, when I got 57, I said, well, that's only 5 years. Maybe I'll just see how it goes. So I'm 65, I'm seeing how it goes. I think I got a few years left in me. But I want to just tell you a little bit about today, about Clyde Companies and who we are. And I want to talk to you about some business principles, and I want to talk to you about technology in the construction industry. Because see, everybody thinks that construction, oh wow, that's like hard labor and digging holes and pounding nails and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's a lot of technology in construction in today's world. And I know all of you young people love technology, so I'm going to show you a little bit of the technology that's going on in our business. And quite frankly, it kind of blows me away. And I wish I knew more than I do, because I actually had to get help from some of our people to put this presentation together. Well, somebody asked me, I chaired the Salt Lake Chamber this year, and one of the people asked me a few years ago, well, what do you do? And I said, we build roads. And so every time I would introduce myself, I'd say, we build roads. And so she kind of got a kick out of that, and so she always say, well, now every time you introduce yourself, I want you to say that. So, you know, I'm Wilford Clyde from Clyde Companies, and we build roads. We started building roads back in 1926, and there's probably not a town in Utah that we haven't built a road in, including Cedar City. In fact, I'll show you one that we just did recently. But let's get started. We're located in Orem. This is our corporate office, just west of the freeway off 800 North. We built this office about 10 years ago. And you'll notice that there's some art pieces in there, because we wanted people to know that people in the construction business can appreciate the arts. And so, you know, we have some art pieces in our office, and this is a big, nice stained glass window that we had custom made. It has a bunch of machines, you know, tractors and motor graders, things like that. And so our business was started by my grandfather, W.W. Clyde, and this is a picture of him. He was started as an engineer, graduated from the University of Utah in electrical engineering and civil engineering. And he went to work in the coal mines because all of the trains going in now were electric. And so he was involved with that. He got involved building the grades for the trains that come in and out, you know, where they put the tracks on that. And he really enjoyed that. So he and a buddy, he started back in 1926. They decided to go see if they could build a road. So they got this road job. They went and built it. It was out by Wendover, Nevada, Wells, Nevada. And they made some pretty good money on it. So they kept on going. And he later started W.W. Clyde and Company. This is how they started, with just horses and a little tool behind that would level the ground or pick up a little bit of dirt and move it to another place. Then they kind of got into this. Here's a picture of him in the middle. This is an old asphalt plant, probably back in the early 1940s, and they built up the business over the years. So our company now, Professor Stillman told you a few of the businesses, and I'll get into a little more detail there. But a few years ago, we decided, what is the vision of our company? And we decided that we weren't just to make profit. You have to make profit to be successful as a company? Absolutely. If you do not make profit, you're not going to be in business. So we have to focus in on making a profit. But we decided that the vision of our company was to build a better community. And so that's the vision of our company, and that's what we work toward, is building a better community. Whether it's providing jobs for families in the community, whether it's actually building roads, parking lots, bridges, dams, whatever, or whether it's being involved in the community and helping give back to the community in that. And so we are working, and our vision is for our company, the purpose of our company is to build a better community. So my grandfather was a man of integrity. Honesty was everything to him. And he did deals with a handshake back in those days. And if you shook hands with him, then that was your word, and you lived by that, okay? Now today we use all kinds of contracts, and we keep all the attorneys in the world going and that. And it's become a necessary part, but we decided years ago, we studied a book named Built to Last, and also one called Good to Great by Jim Collins. Is any of you familiar with that? Raise your hand if you're familiar with that. Great books to read. Now, Good to Great actually precedes Built to Last, but he wrote Built to Last first. Okay, so he wrote Built to Last, and then he wrote another book that says, well, really, and Good to Great was, they did a study and said what constitutes a great company. And so they took a bunch of public companies, they studied them over a period of time, and they decided that they would come up with what made this company a great company. And they came up with these criteria and said, if they meet these criteria, then we'll consider them a great company, and then we'll look at those companies. And so they came up with a lot of things, and you know, if you get that book, you'll find out about, you know, having a passion and what drives your economic engine, and there's a lot of things. And you know, I don't know if you study that in one of your business classes or not, but it's one of my favorite business books. Well, anyhow, on Built to Last, he said they did the same thing. They took some companies, and the companies that have gone for a long period of time, and they say, what does it take? By the way, some of the Good to Great companies that he lists in his book, which I think he wrote about 20 years ago, have actually gone bankrupt. So even Good to Great companies can really sometimes go down too. One of them I think of is Circuit City. A lot of you maybe are familiar with Circuit City. It was kind of a competition with Best Buy, and Best Buy outdid it. Now Best Buy is working hard to try to survive, you know. But anyhow, in this Built to Last, he talks about preserving the core of your company, and in the same vein, stimulating progress, because you've got to move forward with what's going on out in the world, but you've got to preserve what your core and what your core values are in that. And so when you preserve, you're talking about core values, what's your purpose, you know, what is your vision of who you are, and that kind of thing. And the other is about change, you know, changing your culture, what you're operating, practices, specific goals, strategies, things like that. And so you have to, so we studied this book 15 to 20 years ago, and we talked about, you know, how are we going to build our company to last? How do we build our company to be a great company? So we decided we were going to come up with some core values. What are the core values of our company? Well, we go back to my grandfather, back to 1926, all through the years, and we said, well, we're not going to like invent these core values. We're going to say what made our company successful and what were the values that brought those companies successful. And so we had this big brainstorming. We actually went down to Page, Arizona, the Marriott, and we worked really hard and did all this brainstorming in the day, and then we jumped in the boat and went out on the lake in the afternoon. It was a lot of fun. And so we came up with some core values. The first one was we value people. Okay? The picture of this guy here, he worked for our company from age 18 till he retired about 3 years ago at like age 64. Always give a full measure. It was always important in our company to give a full measure. quality products and services at the best value. So we always said, well, we're not always going to be the cheapest priced, but when you look at the overall value of what we provide to you, it will be the best price. And so we've really built our business over the years on quality products, quality services, quality people to deal with those people, with the people, their customers and that. And so this has been very important to us in that. And the last one is, our word is our bond. Handshake, if you say you're going to do it, you do it. Now, you know, when you have 3,000 employees, sometimes it's hard to convince them all of that, but that's our goal, and that's what our values are. And so when you look at core ideology, you look at a core ideology provides continuity and stability. When you drive for progress, it urges continual change. So see, you got to keep these two things going, and in your company. Core ideology plants a fixed stake in the ground. Drive for progress compels constant movement. Your company's got to be constantly moving. Core ideology limits possibilities and directions for the company. Okay, so when you have a core ideology, it gives you some limits. So you don't say, oh, let's go sell snow cones in China or something like that, see? But Drive for Progress expands the number of possibilities. Core ideology has clear content. Drive for Progress can be content-free. Hey, let's brainstorm. Let's talk about ideas. What can we do? What can we do better? Core ideology is a conservative act. Drive for Progress, dramatic, radical, revolutionary change. Okay, these all come from Jim Collins' book. So what does this have to do with challenging yourself? So as we were talking and we came up with these core values, we said, we've got to challenge ourselves to be better, to have a company that will last. And so I give you a quote from Vince Lombardi. The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. Now, if you know anything about Vince Lombardi, he was a great coach. He coached most of his years with the Green Bay Packers and won several championships back in the 1960s with the Green Bay Packers. And it was all about excellence. And every person had to give the very best they had every day in practice and in the games. So I say to you, as you are students and you're looking at where you're going, challenge yourself, okay? And you guys have the EDGE program here, where you have to do a project. Challenge yourself. A lot of people complain about that, but it's there for a reason. It's there to help make you better and get the challenge. So now let me tell you, now you know a little bit about where kind of the core values of our company and where we came from and what we represent as a company. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our companies. So these are the business segments we work in. We work in the heavy and highway construction area. We work in construction materials, ready-mix concrete. We're one of, if not the largest producer of ready-mix concrete in the state of Utah and the state of Idaho, okay? Sand, gravel, asphalt. We have building materials. We actually have a store here in Cedar City. It's called Sunrock Building Materials. So we sell lumber and, well, I'll show you when I talk to you a little bit about that business. And we have an insurance agency. Back in the 1960s, my grandfather decided I'm tired of paying my insurance premiums to somebody else, so he started an insurance agency. We're one of the top 10 insurance agencies in the state now. So our revenue last year was about $950 million. We have 3,000 plus employees. Over 6,000 pieces of equipment that we own, that we have to keep track of. We have over 800 computers, 700 cell phones, just to give you an idea a little bit about our company. So these are the companies that were mentioned earlier. W.W. Clyde & Company was the first company. Geneva Rock Products, this is the company that I started my career in and kind of worked up through. And by the way, it is the largest of the companies. Beehive Insurance, Sunrock Corporation. So we have two Sunrocks, and one is Sunrock Corporation. And the reason that they have the same name is they used to be together and we split them apart 7 years ago. So that's all the explanation I can give you. But Sunrock Corporation does very similar to Geneva. They do ready-mix concrete, sand and gravel, asphalt paving, site work, excavation, grading, moving dirt, all that kind of stuff. Geneva is a union company based along the Wasatch Front, and Sunrock is a non-union company, and we're in southwest Utah. We have some operations in the Wasatch Front, Boise, Idaho, Rock Springs, Wyoming, and so that's what they are. Sunrock Building Materials is a lumber business, you know, so all the different lumber things. So let's talk about W.W. Clyde and Company. They do grading and excavating, have large pieces of equipment. They work all over Utah and any of the states that touch Utah. And you know, here's a job that they did up by Flaming Gorge a few years ago. And you can see that was a rough and rugged job as they brought that hill down and built a roadside right there. Here's a big pipeline that they were doing. Here's a bridge that they're building over the railroad tracks. This is the interchange that is I-15, Legacy Highway, Highway 89, and I don't know if I have a pointer here. Over in here is where Lagoon is, so just for reference. So they built all these bridges and everything, tied this all together now. It's about a $100 million project. This is up SR12 up by Bryce Canyon. There was a big slide that happened this spring because of all the moisture we got. UDOT called us up and said, hey, we got to get this fixed immediately. And so we ran up and had the thing fixed within a few weeks and that. So here's this interchange here. This is the south interchange in Cedar City. Some of you have been around for a while know that the interchange used to be down a few blocks, and we redid that interchange. This is the Southern Parkway down in St. George, the south part of town. So some big dirt moving there where we went through a big cut. Let's talk about Geneva Rock. Geneva Rock is a large ready-mix concrete producer. One of the things that we did, which nobody else has done, is we bought 25 natural gas trucks to help clean up the environment. And they say it's the equivalent of taking 3,000 some odd cars off the road by using the natural gas in our mixer truck. So that's something new that we have done. This is a pour when City Creek was being built. You can kind of see the reference back there. It's kind of a cool, but where they're pouring there is where the big high-rise apartment building is now. This is a parking lot that they asphalted. Here's some concrete paving they did at Hill Air Force Base. What's so cool about this photo? Anybody see? Yeah, you got a jet taking off right there when they were taking the picture. I thought that was kind of neat to see that jet there. We have sand and gravel operations. We actually have a gravel pit here in Cedar City. We provide concrete on a lot of the buildings here on campus. Here's the Real Salt Lake Stadium being built up in Sandy. And we made a special sand and material there so that when it rains and stuff like that, it drains properly and everything. So a job that we did. Let's talk about Sunrock a little bit. Here's a tunnel that they're doing at BYU for all their utilities and everything. They have tunnels all over their campus. And so here a few years ago, they redid all these tunnels. So this is a pretty involved job where it's straight up and down there. And we're going right through all the buildings and everything on campus. This is a base for a wind tunnel over in Wilford, not too far from here. So this is 350 yards of concrete. If you've driven out there, you've seen there's hundreds of these windmills out there. But that base right there, they didn't dig a hole or anything. They just cleared the dirt away, poured 350 yards of concrete, and that's what holds that big turbine up, is that 350 yards of concrete. Here's the Cedar City Temple. We did, Sunrock did all the excavation and grading on it. They supplied all the concrete for it, and so that's a job they did here in town. Here's some asphalt paving taking place at Snow Canyon down in St. George, and asphalt paving. Here's your museum, and we supplied the concrete for that. Here's the city offices in Santa Clara. We have masonry. We have a big block plant facility down St. George. And the thing that's so unique about this is they wanted us to make this block to look like the old sandstone. So you can see the close-up we did a pretty good job. It's actually concrete block, but it kind of looks like the old sandstone that they used to quarry to build buildings down there and that. So Sunrock Building Materials, they supply lumber, make trusses, insulation, custom doors, regular doors for homes, so very dependent upon the home building business. We actually frame some of these, and we actually do wall panels where we can all build the wall panels in our plant, carry them out, and they can set them in place. And I should have brought a little video. It shows how they build a whole house in a day, or framed it all up in one day. They didn't build the whole house. So this is what they do. Beehive Insurance, they provide business insurance to any kinds of businesses. They do specialize in trucking. If you know DAT's Trucking down St. George, that's one of our clients, big trucking company. And they do contractors, but they do any kind of business insurance. So they cover anything in that. And these are some of the companies that are the underwriters of the insurance companies that provide the policies and that for the agency. So let me talk to you a little bit about technology in construction. I'm going to have to go fast here because I want to save some time for you to ask questions. So, like I said, a lot of people don't think that there's technology in construction. There's a lot of technology. Everything we do in our life, and I'll tell you, when the data center goes down, we are in big trouble. So we have all kinds of backups. We have a backup in St. George. We have a backup in a building, a separate building from our corporate office. We have a special room that has special air conditioning units and heating units that are separate from the rest of the building. It has a non-water fire suppressant that works in that room, so it wouldn't destroy all. We have a big generator in the back that turns on if it goes out. And you know, we're starting more and more to use the web to have our applications and that out in the cloud. So we use modern devices to connect: smartphones, Surface Pros, iPads. All of our people have these products that they use every day, and it's very vital to their business. We use Microsoft Office 365. We're just implementing a new product called Teams, which is where collaboration, where you can work. When I built this PowerPoint project, we had 2 or 3 of us working on it, and we were all working on the same PowerPoint at the same time, and it was keeping track of what they were doing, and then it would update every once in a while so we knew exactly what was going on in that. So really a great tool that people are using out there in the business world. Technology runs our business functions, all of our business analysis, accounting, payroll, bills, job costs, all of our equipment, those 6,000 pieces of equipment, we track and keep track of that and all the repairs that go on. All of our repair shops have computers that we keep track of the inventory of all the parts and all of the work orders that we work on all of the vehicles and that. So we have a small shop here in Cedar City. It's tied into that same system and that, all throughout our company. And we have a lot of technology now in our equipment and what we're doing with our equipment. We have within the machines, they have actual little screens, and they get downloaded that actually work with them. Like here's a kind of a supply chain management thing. We have bulk quarries where we have scale system and truck loading systems that haul all the aggregates to our plants. At our batch plants, we have batch controls. All of our concrete plants are run by computers, so they send the order to the plant and it automatically batches the concrete and dumps it into the truck. All their quality assurance they keep track of through programs. The customers, we're tracking their orders and deliveries all day long. Workforce performance, historical information. At the office, we have our dispatch where they keep track of all the orders coming in. Can they take an order? Can they not take an order? They track every truck and where they're at everywhere. So they can tell you at any time where the truck is. It's on the way to the job. It's pouring out. and they get all kinds of analytics. They're hooked up to all the different, like the engine and the mixer bowl, and you know, they can tell you all about what's going on with the truck. And then at the job site, you know, the tickets, the performance, historical information. So it's just a totally integrated system that's going all the time in our company. At the gravel pit, we have loading systems. There's scales on the buckets that keep track of how much is put in. When they come in through the scale house, they have to get a lightweight. And then when they come back out, it signs it out to the job, bills it to the various jobs internally or external customers. All of our concrete, asphalt batching plants are all computerized controls. And so people that get involved in that, we just had a person that retired that he started as a mechanic, but he was like a genius when it came to all these batching control systems and that. Our materials engineers, they analyze the data. There's moisture probes, flow meters, scales. All this stuff is all run by computers, and we have this at our fingertips. Here's inside of one of our trucks where he can see where to take the order to, and he can report to the dispatcher what process he's in. I'm at the job, I'm pouring out on the job, I'm on my way back to the plant, so they can manage the trucks efficiently in that. All of this is tracked in real time. We can get on our iPhones or our iPads or whatever, and we can see what's going on. We can have a salesman, he can show up on a job site and they say, where's my truck? He can get on his cell phone and he can say, it's 10 minutes away or something like that. Let me talk to you a little bit about engineering and construction technology. We do survey from the sky now. We have drones. Here's a couple of drones. One flies, one is like a helicopter type drone. I brought a little drone here and I'll set it up while we're doing questions. This is just a small one. These two here are a lot bigger. But they go up in the sky and they put all these points down, and then you can, it's not just a pretty aerial photo, because what it does is it actually goes in and measures. This is like a gravel pit, and it'll tell us exactly how much material has been taken out of there. And they can actually do all their surveying. They don't have to go out with a survey scope and have somebody hold a rod and that. It's all done from the air. It's amazing. They design projects now with this LiDAR. They take a laser disc and they set it up on a thing and it spins around, and it will do 2 million points per second as it spins around. And it actually draws a picture. This is like underneath a bridge. And so he was showing me how we were replacing a pipe within a pipe up Pearl Canyon. We didn't know what it looked like in there. They put this up in there and they could see all the way down, see what was up in there. But somebody could crawl up in there and see it. Here's a highway. They actually do 3D modeling, and they never have any paper. They design the highway, they shift it all down, it goes into those machines. The road grader, the blade on the road grader goes up and down based on what the computer information. When you get done with this, some of you are going to want to change and go into engineering, right? So they put this all into these machines. They have a little thing there. It tells them exactly. It actually runs the blade up and down. The guy just drives it down the road. Our asphalt and concrete machines are all guided by these computers now. And they have little reference points. They might have a little string line or something, and they can get really tolerances to 1/4 of an inch coming off of these. And these are all coming off satellites, global positioning satellites. So they hooked all these satellites, they come down to this spot, and they can get it to within 1/4 of an inch. Isn't that amazing what they can do? These 3D models become a reality in the equipment. And this is one of the screens that you would see in one of the pieces of equipment. So here, just to end, I'm going to show you, this is a project. This was the first project that was completely designed, road project. They've been using this in the building industry, but road project, it was completely designed from A to Z without any paper and no stakes put in the ground or anything. And this was SR20, so this is the road that goes from I-15 over to 89 between Beaver and Cedar City that we did here, I think it was last year or the year before. So maybe this will work. Maybe it won't. Just a sec, maybe I have to click it from here. Oh yeah, here you go. So this was all flown with a drone. So this is showing the highway that we built. We widened it out into 4 lanes. It was just 2 lanes. And you can see kind of where we started. You can see where we started there and where we ended. It wasn't a large job, but it was kind of experimental for UDOT to do. And our company was the first company that ever did this in the United States. So anyhow, we have a lot of exciting things that happen in our company. We try to use business principles and to be successful. And so far we've been going for over 90 years, so hopefully we'll keep going and we'll keep building roads and other things. So anyhow, thank you. We have about 5 minutes.
So we talked a lot about like technology in the company. Maybe diving more into your personal life. Nothing really is given to us for free, and perhaps maybe you did get a jump start, I don't know, with your family, but what role did you play in helping build this company, and what advice would you give to us as we have started companies, will start companies, and try to be successful entrepreneurs, perhaps like you and the others?
Well, I started out in accounting. I graduated in accounting. I'm a business student like you guys. And I graduated in accounting. I was going to go work for a big CPA firm. At the time, there was the big, what they called the Big 8. Now it's the Big 4. And I was going to go out and work for one of them for 10 years, come back, start my own accounting business. I wasn't going into the family construction business. I figured there were too many relatives in it already, and by the time I got done, I'd be just living out on a construction job for the rest of my life. But in my last year of school, my dad took me for a little ride to the point of the mountain, and he said there's some opportunities here at Geneva Rock. At the time, Geneva Rock was a small company, kind of a subsidiary company to our main company. And I thought, hey, there's no relatives here, and I can go home every night and sleep in my own bed. And I really like this area, and I've always liked construction because I worked that part-time while I was going to school and for several years. And so I got involved, and I started as an accountant, did that for about 5 years, and I worked into the operations. And I had a great opportunity because, I mean, it wasn't great for the manager because he died at age 61 of a heart attack. I was 30 years old, I became the manager of the company. So over the years, we grew Geneva Rock from 15 to 20 million to now it's doing almost 400 million. And over the last 25 years, I've been involved in the purchasing about 35 businesses, and we've integrated them into our existing businesses and grown our company in that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think the thing that you have to look at is, you know, where do you get opportunities? I know this is an entrepreneurial class. You all want to be entrepreneurs, but sometimes maybe it's good to go work for somebody and kind of learn a little bit, and then if you have a good business idea, maybe you go out and try that business idea. Other questions? Yes?
So a lot of your jobs, like with highways and stuff, for the state?
Yeah, the Department of Transportation is one of our main customers, but we work for cities, counties, we work for, you know, we don't build a lot of private roads, but we do a lot of private work on like building sites and things of that nature now. So, and then the ready-mix concrete, we supply that to everybody, you know, whether it be here at the university or building being built here, or I see Lake Construction. I don't know if we're supplying that or not, but they are one of our really good customers, so I'm hoping that we are. I'm hoping I go out there and see one of our trucks out there, but we, you know, we get involved with everything. So we have probably 7,000 or 8,000 customers, but UDOT is one of our very good customers. Yes?
I'm one of the handful of construction management students there.
Oh, there you go. Good.
I was wondering what advice you might give for pursuing any kind of summer internships.
Well, there's a lot of companies that give them. We hire about maybe 20 to 30 every year, every summer. And we usually do interviews around the first part of March. And so, you know, we have a construction group down St. George. I'd go check them out at Sunrock down St. George. So we have a website that you can go to that they advertise those on, but there's a lot of construction companies that offer, a lot of the building contractors offer that too. So if you're interested in the building side, like Layton Construction, Jacobson, Oakland, some of those guys, Big D, you know, they offer internships and that, but you just have to kind of start working with companies and find out. And sometimes, you know, I don't know if you have an internship program here that your construction management program goes out and reaches out to those, but I know some of the other programs in the state do. Yes?
You have two companies, Sunrock Materials and
Geneva Rock?
Yeah, did they at one point ever have competing?
Occasionally, I have to do a little refereeing once in a while, but that's okay. We talked a lot about this, and you know, I kind of like the Procter & Gamble approach. Does anybody know what the Procter & Gamble approach is?
No.
Well, Procter & Gamble, you go buy a toothpaste, and you go, I don't like Crest, I'll get this one. And you know, half of the toothpaste on there is made by Procter & Gamble. So if you don't like one, like this. So if you don't like Geneva, we'll have Sunrock do it. We have a big project I didn't have time to tell you about, but we have worked an arrangement with State Trust Lands. We are getting in the property development business, so we have a new business called Clyde Properties, and we've arranged to develop 3,500 acres of ground down in St. George. It's where the Southern Parkway ties into I-15. It's going to be a really fun project. You'll probably see some publicity. It was kind of announced at their What's Up in Southern Utah Economic Forum they had here last week or the week before, and there'll be a lot more going on with that. So one of the things we're hoping to sign there is a company called Big Shots. You've probably heard of Top Golf up in the Salt Lake area. Well, Big Shots is a competitor. They use a little different technology, but hopefully they're going to build one of those in St. George. So you can drive down and have a lot of fun with that. I think our time's about gone. One more quick question.
You mentioned the books, Good to Great and Built to Last. Were there any other mentors or influential things that have guided you along the way, or who do you go to for?
Well, we use a book called The Extraordinary Leader by Jack Zanger, and Folkman is his partner. And the reason I like that is because Jack and I were on the Board of Regents together. He was a business professor at Stanford. He now lives in Midway, and he has this company that they do 360 evaluations on people. That's 360 is when you go to all the different, you go to like your supervisor, your peers, and the people that report to you, and they all do an evaluation on you. And then we just did it on some of our executives, and it's a little scary to open that up and see what your peers think about you. But anyhow, you know, they have a book on how to become an extraordinary leader. And so we use that book quite a bit. It's a really great book. Okay, well, that's all the time we have, so thank you very much for letting us